All right, so today we're going to talk about our journals. We just finished writing our opinion piece on which trail we want to go on. So that will be the trail that you travel in your journal. But we're going to write realistic fiction, and we've been talking about that word a lot. Realistic fiction, what is that? Addie?
It's like when something, it's fake, but it seems realistic.
Okay, what else can we add to that? Yeah, what else can we add to that, Jonathan?
It can happen, but it hasn't.
It can happen, but it hasn't happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to keep a diary. The good part about it, because I know the first time we tried it, it was kind of overwhelming because we didn't know what to write about. So each day, if you look at your organizer that we gave you, so go to your organizer, we're going to give you a focus each time we write. We're going to try to do one a day. They're not very long. They're usually just a page. Now, some people have gotten really into it and may have gone a page and a half. That's okay, all right? But you have to come up with different things. I'm going to show you my example in a moment. So the first thing on like the front of our covers, we'll have like a journal. So you'll title it. And I'm going to show you some examples in a moment too of like books that you can get in the library. Or even I'm going to give you some links to show you journals you can go read. They're kind of hard to read because they're written by actual people that traveled the trails. Okay? And so they didn't have the best penmanship because how was school back then?
There wasn't.
They didn't have school much. And if they did, they were in a school that was K through 12. So they didn't, and there's usually like, maybe 10 people, 15 people in a class, one room, one school room.
Plus younger, like teenagers, like that were 17, they would only, they would teach the kids.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes by the time you were in so-called 8th grade, you would be out of school. What do you think?
Because people, because the parents wanted the kids to help out on the farm.
Right. And so back then, they didn't really value school. What they valued is you working on the land. And so by that time, they would just pull you out of school. So you kind of knew how to write, but not good. So that's why when you read it, you'll see how poorly they wrote. But you can understand what they're saying. It just might not sound natural. Yeah.
And by the age of 15, you're doing something you aren't even supposed to be in school. You're either teaching it or you're working on the land.
Exactly. So you had, your job was set. Okay? And then if you were traveling, you were moving around all the time. You didn't stay in one place. So it was kind of hard to really sit down and go to school. It looked different back then. You know, Mom and Pa maybe at night would sit down, like, or maybe our moms and pa's stuff, and read to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But back then it was a little different. So the first blob you're going to see is just that we're going to talk more about the front of our journals. We're not going to worry about that until the end, and I'll show you in a moment. So our first entry, let's look at our first entry. Notice I have write the date of your departure. We'll talk about what that looks like because we got to think about that time period of when we were on our trail. Now, it's always easy for me to remember California because of the 49ers. So in 1849 was when the big rush. Okay? So they traveled, though, through the late 1800s. So we can look up those dates as we go along. But we're making this up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
With the dates, like I looked on here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a month. Do we just, like whenever we wrise it, do we just do a month?
Did it really take just a month to get there?
I know.
No, it took like a month to
It's
6
months.
It took 5 to 6 months.
That's why it confused me on there.
Well, but this is going to be, you're going to see, we're going to start with the first departure date. Okay? So your first one you're going to leave, let me show you this. Let me put this over here. The first when you leave, you're explaining why you're moving out west. Okay? And then you're going to tell what family members are traveling with you, including your ages. And describe the route or the trail your family's taking, so whatever trail you're going on. And then you're describing the town you're leaving behind, and you describe how you prepared all for the journey, what you did to get prepared. Okay? Get your wagon prepared. Because back then, it wasn't Mom and Dad packing up the van, right? No, the kids did a lot of the work, right? We talked about that. Okay, so, and then do you have a wagon? What other items are you taking? So, this was my example that I made. And this is kind of it's going to be our cover right here. So my first entry, and again, I wrote this on in my writing journal, and then I went back, and this will be our final, okay? Just like the same writing process that we go through. We'll write it in our writing notebooks each day, and then we're going to write a final copy that we can dip in tea to make it look old and vintage before we make it. So this is what I wrote. So look at your organizer really quick. Look where it says entry 1. Put your finger on it so I know you're looking. Carter, put your finger on it. I want you to read for the things that I said that needs to be included in the entry 1. Look at that right now. Okay, now I'm going to read mine so you can compare. The other thing is, yes? Okay, we're not talking about the front cover right now, okay? Can you hold that until we're going to worry about that last. Okay? All right. So anyways, as I read through, I want you guys to see if I have the things and see if there is that flow. Remember we talked about that flow.
Yeah.
It's like you're really writing your diary. You're not going to start with Dear Diary, okay? You'll notice they don't, because they didn't do that back then. It wasn't a Dear Diary. This is your journal of your adventures. You're excited. You're getting ready to do something that no one else has done. Or if people have done it, you haven't got to talk to them. Why?
Because they were just in the plane. They were in California and stuff.
Okay, so, but why?
Because they already traveled.
Well, okay, but why didn't you talk to them?
Telephones.
Oh, you mean they didn't call you on the telly?
No, there was not a telly.
Did they write you a note?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, they really didn't. You didn't write.
They would drop postcards when they passed you if you were on the trail.
Well, okay, little different. How do I say that word spread around back in the day?
People would
Gossip.
tell other people
Yeah,
gossip.
kind of gossip. It's kind of like word of mouth, okay? And because people were traveling back and forth on the trail, that's how it was like, oh, this is what's on this trail, and this is what's going on this trail, okay? So it was all word of mouth. So it was kind of like, oh, we're going to go experience it for ourselves. How exciting is this? So here is my entry. I'm going to hold it while I read it, if you don't mind, just because it's easier for me to read this way. So I want you to be looking on your organizer, and I want you to see, as I go through and read, kind of check out the things that I mentioned. You know that I did the California Trail, and so I titled my journal, Golden Trail, My Travels to California. See, nothing too fancy. But so I dated mine May 5th in 1849. And so entry 1, gold? Really? We're going west for gold? Pa has been telling the family there's more opportunities for us in California. Mom looks worried. And Paul, my 15-year-old brother, is upset about leaving his friends. My sister Sarah, 12, and Kate, 6, are fighting about what they should pack. Kate wants to bring her whole room. We are leaving our small, cozy 2-room home in Independence, Missouri. Actually, most of the town has gone west in search of better things. I guess I'm excited. Or am I scared? I don't know a thing about traveling the California Trail, but Dad's friend Jack says he knows the way. He's even made friends with the Native Americans. Outside, my family is busy making sure our 3 wagons are carefully packed. Dad stuffed all the valuables at the bottom to hide them just in case. I'm just happy I get to bring my favorite apron, my rag doll I sleep with, and a bag of marbles. Oh, and don't forget my jump rope. It looks like we're ready to leave. I'm sure going to miss my house and my friends. Okay, so that's my first entry. Yeah. Do you see how I made that realistic fiction?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes.
Your age, I heard you said like other people's age,
Mhm.
but I never heard your age.
Mm-hmm. So that would be something I would need to include, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you write, but did you hear all the other parts?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So again, I talked about my family, where we lived, where we were going, what we are packing. Okay. So those are things you need to include. We're going to write it first in our writing journals. Okay? That way we can check to make sure we have all the pieces. I have a rubric that I'll be sharing with you guys, like a scoring guide, so you'll know how you get a 3 on each one. Okay? And I'll give that to you in a moment. So, yes.
Do we have to write our notebook? Can we just get like notebook paper?
Okay, I answered that, I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes, why do you think I'd rather have you in your notebook than in your...
Because you won't.
Yes, because we have a bad problem with losing our papers. So, do we understand what we are writing today?
Yes.
It's realistic fiction. Notice, as I'm writing it, my point of view, okay? Am I telling it as a story? Am I being a narrator?
You're telling it. You're talking about yourself.
It's my point of view. That's right. I'm telling it from myself, what my family is going through. Okay? So I have the rubric here. I'm going to give this to you so you can see what pieces you're going to need. It's the exact same thing as your organizer. So if you include all the pieces, you'll get a 3. If you leave some things out, it shows you how you get a 2. And if you just don't even try it all, which is really what you'd have to do, is not try it all, then you get a 1. Okay? I think you guys can do this. The other thing that I want to share with you, if you need some inspiration, Bill Anderson, he goes to that same thing that Roland Smith goes to when I meet the authors. This was one of his books that he had this year. Please be careful because I have some things in there that Bill gave me. And it's my signed copy, so I get really worried about this. But he wrote a new book about Pioneer Girl, about Laura Ingalls Wilder. I will also share with you guys some excerpts, on your Google Classroom writing of different pioneers and links that you could read their journals to get some ideas, especially from kids' perspectives, because theirs were pretty interesting. So you can look at that. I'll keep this book up here. The other books that I have, the one that I wanted the most, and I went to double check again in the library to make sure we didn't have it. I have book 2 and 3. Book 1 is the best one of this series because it talks about his journey on the trail. Okay? These are once he's settled. So, they're still good, and it'll show you how he writes in his diary or his journal. Okay? So there's these 2. They're My America books. That's another copy of that. And then another one is Meg. And again, she's not really traveling on the trails, but she lives on the prairie. So they're just good examples because the way they're written, they show you how this one's written in 1856. And hold on, let's open up to. So it starts with July 12th, 1856. This morning, Mr. Young showed us some photographs he took in Lawrence last spring. The first was of a man named John Brown. His eyes looked fierce, and I said so. Mr. Young smiled. He seemed glad to have captured this quality in John Brown. He said John Brown is a fierce fighter against slavery in our land. So again, she doesn't say, Dear Diary, today my mom made me mad. This is not Dear Diary, okay? It is a journal of our trail adventures, okay?
And it's not today we went to go to Target and got us toys or
Exactly.
like that.
So again, I'm going to say this again. I want all eyes on me because sometimes I say things and then you ask me that question, right? So eyeballs on me. Slate your bodies up. Eyeballs. Hi, eyeballs. Okay. Are we going to worry about the front cover yet?
No.
We are not going to worry about the front cover yet. We're going to start with entry number 1. My suggestion, even if you're writing it in your journal, is to write number 1 at the top of your journal. Okay? Because then if you get somehow, since some of us have a hard time being sequential in order in our notebook, it'll be a shame if you get those mixed up. Now, dates. Okay, dates. That's honestly something we can come back and do at the end. If that's something that stresses you out, that doesn't stress you out, you go for it. Okay? Because that's real easy to do is put dates in. Right?
As long as you do dates.
Yes, and I do believe I already put the links in for your journals in your writing, in classroom writing, Google Classroom, so you can look there. So, but if you're ready to jump in and go, go. Okay? So, all right, Natalie, will you pass these out to everybody? And then you guys may go ahead and go get started.
So, if we feel like we're comfortable, can we go ahead and write it in our writing journal?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Why don't you do it at their seats? That's a good question. That way they can get there. Izzy, will you call people to go back to their seats? Oh, sit down unless you're Izzy.